Hey everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Boardmasters with me, Chris Mullins. And this is going to be part 3 of my upcoming game series. Sorry about that. So let's dive straight in. The first one we've got to look at today is the Great Wall, which I got on a late pledge. By the time this video goes up, the pledge manager will be over, so you won't be able to get this in the pledge manager or anything, unfortunately. But I'm sure it'll come to retail and you'll be able to get it at that point. Now, this one I got, again, I just look at these miniatures. I mean, they are stunning and they just won me over completely, to be honest. As you know, if you followed part 1 or part 2, which I will link down below, you will know that I am a sucker for minis. And I do love the theme, the whole Grey Wall thing where you're working together to repel the invading hordes whilst trying to build the Great Wall. And I just love that concept. There is a bit of nerves about the quality of the game. I think this one is one where, certainly at the end of the Kickstarter campaign, they were still iterating on the gameplay. They hadn't quite got it nailed down, and I think there were some complaints that it dragged on a bit. But the developers were aware of that, and they were working to sort that out, but I'm sure it'll be great fun. So, I mean, even these meeples, I'm not getting the meeple version, I'm getting the miniatures, but even they look great. And it's one of the very few games where if you told me I could only have these meeples, I would be quite happy and settled for that. I'll try and scroll down. So the Dragon Pledge, this is the one I've got. So hopefully you can see these miniatures in a bit better detail than you could further up the page. They just look stunning. You've got this gorgeous board, and these are the bits of the wall that you have to build up to protect the kingdom. Got this wonderful artwork on the cards, and then go down to the stretch goals. So we've got the cooperative mode, because in the main, originally it's a semi-co-op, which so you're working together, but there's ultimately a winner, which is a little bit unsatisfying. I've got a few games like that. I tend to just ignore the sort of competitive aspect of it and just work together. But anything that adds more strategy for you to work together, I'm happy with. We've got the Genghis Khan expansion, which again just adds more minis, more cards, an excellent Genghis Khan model. Hopefully the final is representative of that. 5th player expansion. Be interesting to see how well this game plays with 5 players. I'm not sure. Well, we have to wait for COVID to go out of the way before I get any chance for player count of that, I think, anyway. And then further down we've got let's scroll down, the Black Powder expansion. This is the one I'm really looking forward to. That is the meeple one, the miniatures version. So you've got these giant cardboard towers that go on the walls, and the miniatures in these rocket miniatures and the cannon miniatures, they are absolutely stunning, and I just can't wait to get my hands on those. And again, these flamethrower minis, Monkey Clan, monks and crossbowmen, they just all look great. Pretty certain I do get the, which one have I gone for? Dragon all in. Ancient Beast, so yep, I've got the Ancient Beast miniature one as well. So get these gorgeous minis as well. I'm sure they've got details in the updates on those. Let's see, do we have anything in here? New models. No, it doesn't look like they've got the beasts in this one. I'm sure that it is in one of the updates. Feel free to check it out. But I will be doing an unboxing on this when I get it, because it is gorgeous and I cannot wait to get it open. Moving on from there, we have got Frostpunk. This game, and I think the same applies to pretty much every game from now on in. By the time this video goes live, the pledge manager will almost certainly be open, or will be still pending. You won't have missed it, I'm sure. There's maybe one exception later on, but I'll mention that when we get there. So we've got Frostpunk, the board game, which is based off the computer game, which we had on Steam and PS4. It's probably on Xbox as well. I played the PS4 version. I bought it after this campaign launched, and the game was brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. I loved it, and it's got me so excited for this game. I mean, the comments are so positive. It gets me so excited for this one. I mean, you can read it there. The game is amazing. I'm so excited by what I got to play. It exceeded any expectations. After initial look at Frostpunk, I now have a new #1 most anticipated game. A compelling, strategically deep Euro driven by emergent storytelling. We didn't think a Euro could do all that, but here we are. And this is the board to basically in Frostpunk, it's an alternative history set around the end of the 1800s, where the world is freezing over and civilizations built these giant heating generators in the Arctic for people to relocate to try and escape the frozen winter, basically, that was taking over the planet. And obviously, being in the far north, you've got to balance everything out between your food, you're getting your resources, so your steel, your coal, your wood to build things, and the coal to power the generator, etc. And you just, it's very hard. The computer game certainly is very punishing. I haven't played the online playthroughs of the board game, but I understand it's very similar. Again, some of these minis, the buildings look stunning, the artwork's great. I love the theme, and I have got the pledge to get these pre-shaded miniatures. I'm just weighing up whether I go expand to get the Dreadnought as well, which I probably will. I think at the moment. So this is the generator in the middle that looks absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, basically just the aim is to survive as it gets colder and colder. So you've got to get more and more coal. You're going to be burning through coal as you're using the generator on higher settings. You're going to be trying to research technologies to make things easier. Got these macros. I don't think I've got those. I think I've got the improved versions of those. If I scroll on Deluxe Bridge, this is what I've got at the moment. So I'll be getting all these building miniatures, the special small buildings, the large, and here we go. So these are the sort of characters. So you've got the workers, the engineers, your children, which you can put to work. I mean, you get to implement laws in your settlement where you can set children to work. You can set a law so that if you're struggling to maintain food supplies, you can add sawdust to the food to make the food go further. It's lots of really hard moral decision making and balancing resources, and just everything sounds fun. I'll probably end up upgrading to the Gamer All In pledge, I imagine, and getting this giant Dreadnought here, which looks great. But yeah, everything about the game, all the press, it's so critically well received, the campaign, when it came out. Everyone who's played the game seems to really love it. And I went out and bought the PS4 game afterwards and absolutely loved that. So if this can replicate that in the way it looks like it is, it's going to be a fantastic game. And I cannot wait to get it. But we will move on now to something completely different, really. And this is Kabuto Sumo. Certainly one of the cheapest games I've pledged for. And very rare for me, it's actually a dexterity game. So it's basically, anyone who's been to an arcade or anything knows the 2p machines where you pop a 2p in and try and knock as many off as to sometimes get prizes and earn as much copper as you possibly can, or is it bronze? I'm not quite sure. But on this, you get these rings representing your wrestlers, and you push them on. You're trying to push the other wrestlers out the ring, which just looks really fun and tactile. And again, not usually my sort of game. Dexterity games generally don't appeal to me in terms of like flicking things or throwing things. But on this one, especially with the price point, I was completely sold. And I have been a fan of wrestling in the past. You also get these signature pieces, one for each wrestler, which is basically their finishing move, their special move, which when you push those onto the board is obviously going to have a big impact, because I mean, you've got these giant pieces for one insect compared to these little claws here, and how different their going to impact the gameplay. And again, there's an expansion which I am getting, and they've got all their own special pieces as well. So it all looks quite straightforward, but I love the artwork, I love the theme, and the gameplay just looks fun. I'm really looking forward to being able to play this one with Alex. Just wanna, so they've got a few that are based on actual wrestlers, which I found quite funny. So we've got Cactus Jack, the Desert Ironclad Beetle, which obviously is based on the legend that is Mick Foley. And there is another one. Actually, I think, yeah, it must be an expansion. The Nature Bug, the giant forest scorpion, which is obviously based on the Nature Boy himself, Ric Flair. And I just love these little touches. And again, probably not a lot to speak about on this one. It just looks like a really fun, enjoyable, tactile little experience. And the sort of game I think most people will want to play when they see it. So I can't wait for that to turn up. Next one, we got the Freedom 5. And this is one where at the moment I've only pledged the $5 to get in the pledge manager because the prices are the same, but this is going to be a very expensive one when I finally get around to extending my pledge. But they've said the pledge manager will be open for 6 to 8 months, and this is November now, so it's going to be most of next year. So I've got plenty of time to save up for this one. Now, this is a Sentinel Comics board game. I'd never heard of Sentinel Comics before this. I am certainly more intrigued by it now because, again, this campaign was really fun. This is the last minute expansion they added, so Cosmic Threats. So you've got sort of the Sentinel version of Thanos there. And yeah, added a new hero, Young Legacy. I will mention these are all, you can get these miniatures and they're all painted, which I will definitely be doing because I have no artistic skill whatsoever, which you will know if you've seen any of my editing on the other videos. I have nowhere near the skill to paint minis, and I wouldn't be confident enough to even try, so I would definitely be paying for them to get these beautiful painted minis. This is another one you get, it's a giant one. I think it's like 5 inches tall, which is going to look incredible on the board. There you get, yeah, 5 inches, so you get an indication of how big that's going to be on the board. That's just going to have such a presence, and there's a few of that. I mean, there's so much content in this game. Because the review, initially Alex at Board Game Co. did a review on this where he really enjoyed the game, but said some parts were a bit fiddly. There was a lot of things to fiddle with and lots of tokens and whatnot, which kind of put me off. But I think back then there was probably only about 10 miniatures at that point, and over the course of the campaign they added so much it just became a no-brainer. Again, you've got another giant 5-inch one there, and then all these heroes and masterminds that just look incredible. And you know, I'm a massive superhero fan, big Marvel fan, DC as well, but Marvel primarily. But anything superhero, I mean, again, these masterminds look incredible. And it just looks really fun. And again, I am an absolute sucker for minis, and I think this is the first one I've got that were painted minis. I will be getting these hero tokens as well. I mean, little metal dinosaur there. It's just cool. So yeah, in terms of the pledge levels, I will be probably going for this one, the all-in gameplay painted. So you'll be getting all of these gorgeous minis all painted. And then I'll add that hero token on as well. So you get an indication of how expensive that's going to be. But you get the expansions and everything. And I'm going to want to spend a lot of time with that game, I think, if it's as fun on the table as it looks in the campaign. The next one is one this is one I did pledge. I think it's one of the only ones I pledged in the first day. Townsfolk Tussle. I love the look of this game. I love the art style. If you've played Cuphead or anything, you will instantly recognise this art style. I love how dark and sinister it is. So basically, it's set in a town called Eureka Springs. The sheriff has been murdered, and with no one guarding the gates, the ruffians are coming in to take advantage of the defenceless town. But the ragtag townsfolk are grouping together to drive off the ruffians. Again, it's a competitive, sort of semi-co-op game. So you're working together to defeat these ruffians, and whoever does the best becomes the new sheriff. Again, the sort of competitive aspect of who's the next sheriff isn't something I'm too fussed about. I just can't wait to actually play this game. And again, similar to Frostpunk, the reception to this one for the people that have played the game has been almost universally positive. It looks great fun from a new first-time creator as well, which is really, really impressive. Again, here's some. That's one of the ruffians. That's the townsfolk. So get a better idea of the artwork here. How, as they say, charmingly twisted. That sort of really dark animation style, which looks absolutely great. Sorry about that. But again, there's huge amounts of equipment. They all look fun. You get these. You can see that on there. These elements of terrain on the board that you interact with. So there's like a little car you can turn on that drives across the board and deals damage to anything in its way. You can go to the barn and speak to someone who lives there, and he might shoot the ruffian or give you a healing item. It's all very asymmetric in terms of the player powers of the townsfolk that you control, as well as the ruffians, and it's randomized in that over the course of the game you fight 4 ruffians. You don't know which order it's going to be until that you actually flip the token over and see which one, and depending on which order the ruffians come out, depends how strong they are. So if you're fighting one as a round 1, it's going to be very different from when you encounter that ruffian in a different game at round 4. But these are the basic townsfolk. Again, I just think they look great. And then we've got the ruffians here, and they just look absolutely bizarre and crazy and just amazing. And again, these all look Virginia's Shanker and Gooby's Shovel, and just, yeah, lots of crazy, funny, just looks really, really entertaining. You've got these another ruffian, which is Deputy Wagums, which is this cute little puppy with guns strapped to him that you've got to fight. They even do, for you Nintendo fans, the Heroes Pack, which is obviously a certain Nintendo hero that likes to go adventuring, that anyone who knows me from gaming knows I don't particularly get on with. I do like the games, but I certainly don't have the love that a lot of people do, but I will still be desperately trying to get my townsfolk decked out in this. And again, it's well, obviously all these games are incredibly exciting to me, or I wouldn't be paying money for them, but that is near the top of the list for me. Having said that, this one isn't all that exciting to me. It's a strange one. This one, Endless Winter, is a game that, looking at it, it doesn't win me over at all. Doesn't really appeal. But when you actually read again the reception of this, if I had said design a game for me, it would probably be this game. This game checks every single box I can think of. I think this is going to really blow up Kickstarter. It really should. We love it. I can only imagine this game has a very bright future. Endless Winter is one of my most anticipated games. This one is an evergreen. Everything and everyone that's played this game is so positive that I just feel compelled to back it and hope that they're proved right when the game turns up. And again, my initial feelings are hopefully wrong, because again, looking at it, it doesn't win me over. I guess probably because it's not a fest of minis. You do have these lovely minis that are pre-shaded as part of the Kickstarter campaign, so I am keen on that. There's plenty of content in terms of the campaign. They've got this extra storage box, which was a big point of contention through a lot of the campaign, where a lot of people wanted a big box considering all the expansions and modules that are in the campaign, and Fantasia Games weren't going to do it. They didn't have any interest in doing it. It wasn't beneficial to them. But there was enough demand basically that they then bowed down and provided that option for people, which I think is fantastic. And credit to Fantasia Games, there's a lot of things in this campaign that they actually listened to the community and made changes and went with them. And I mean, this playmat is one. At the moment, well, originally it was just one big long playmat. A lot of people said that's not convenient, it won't fit on my table. Is there options to have it in two separate ones? And they turned around in the end and said, yeah, sure, we'll split it into two different sections. And when you do the pledge manager, you can choose which one you want. And oh, this is very exciting actually for me, because I hadn't checked this today. I didn't realize they've hit all the stretch goals. So we have now unlocked this excellent mammoth figure and the dual layered megalithic tiles. So they've basically done everything they wanted to do in the game, and I think we still got a few days left. Oh no, hours, 11 hours. So there may be a few extra bonuses thrown into the game. Again, these are the wash minis, so that's how they looked originally. They look an awful lot better after the wash, which certainly appeals to me. And yeah, again, it's a game that is probably the one game that I'm not instantly excited by, but the reception absolutely convinced me that it's a game that I can't afford to miss out on, and I will not be missing out on it. Next one is Burncycle, and this has been a lightning campaign. They've only done, basically the campaign was 11 days, which is incredibly short for a Kickstarter. But again, the theme has absolutely won me over on this. I know Chip Theory games have an excellent reputation, and their production values are generally off the charts from what I understand. I haven't played any of their games, sadly, because again, I'm brand new to this all. But basically, this is a game set in an alternate sort of dystopian future where humans are trying to exterminate all the robots, which is really interesting because usually, obviously, it's the other way around, that robots gain sentience and then want to wipe out the humans, but this is the other way around, and you're playing as the robots who are trying to infiltrate these evil corporations that are trying to wipe them out and save robot kind, basically. Again, everything is these neoprene mats and everything, so instead of just cardboard tiles like a lot of games would rely on, that they're neoprene. Even these chips that normally a little plastic chip wouldn't really be too fussed by, but they fill it with like metal, so they're really weighty and feel great in your hand. And also they have these brass figurines that are optional, but I will almost certainly get them, which are magnetized and then stand on the chips, which again will give the game a great presence. So you've got these different aspects where you're infiltrating using these corporation mats. Each floor will have a different layout, and there'll be guards wandering around that have line of sight. And you've got to sneak around the guards, hack into terminals. When you hack into a terminal, then you're trying to maneuver around the networks while their obviously antivirus stuff is trying to hunt you down. And it reminds me a lot of the computer game Invisible Link, which I really, really enjoyed. And if they can pull off the same feeling as that game, then I will be very, very happy. Try and find those brass figures a minute. Here we go. So here's the sort of robot characters again. I love the artwork and how distinctive they all are. And they will obviously have their different roles and everything. And the evil corporations that you'll be fighting. Pledge levels, I'm probably going to end up with the gameplay bundle and then adding the brass figures on, because the everything bundle is a lot of, I'm not too fussed about a deluxe draw bag. Mat would be nice, and the deluxe lore, I would like to read that, but I mean I get the digital lore anyway. Do I want to spend potentially $70, $80 extra to get those? Here are those brass figures. So I mean they just look awesome, and once they're on the chips I think that will be really impressive to look at. And the last one that I have backed so far is Splice, and it's one, basically primarily this one is I'm backing a local developer to me really. So Sea Griffin Games are based in Cornwall in the UK, which is where I live. Their first game, which I will be getting as part of this campaign in the Little and Large pledge, is Dice Splice plus their first game, which is the Pirates of Penryn, and I live in Penryn, so you know it's a no-brainer for me. But again, it's a much smaller game than I usually back. It's not the sort of thing that usually appeals to me, and it's heavy dice and everything. But I actually do think this looks really fun, in that you're stacking dice, and they're color coded, and using these little boards to balance them out. And either you can work together to try and get everything stacked up, or there's the competitive elements where you can try and make the other person spill the tower. And I'm usually not one for competitive stuff, but that just looks really fun and innocent. So just looks a whole lot of fun, and yeah, supporting a local company who seem to produce good games, because Pirates of Penryn does seem to be fairly highly rated on Board Game Geek. Now the final one is one that I will be backing. I haven't yet because, as you can see, they haven't launched yet. I'm not sure where. I'm hoping it will be sooner rather than later, because I need to know how poor I'm going to be in the near future. But this is the same company that did Etherfields, so Awakened Realms, and Etherfields is one in part 1 of these videos that I bought, and hopefully will be arriving in the next few weeks. But it's basically a space exploration game where you're on the ship and you have to explore systems and planets and study alien cultures and whatnot. And I get a very Mass Effect type vibe from it, just without the impending doom of the Reapers on top. And it seems to have a lot of character customization and allies, and a lot of interacting with crew members and managing who's going to be doing space landings and how much equipment do you take when you land, because the heavier your ship is when you land, the more damage you could take. Obviously, the less equipment you take, the less time you'll spend on the planet. And it's all managed with this folder, where this binder where you add cards into it, and that's basically tells your story and your save game state, and that just looks a really interesting new mechanic that I haven't seen. You have these different sections. Again, there's not many minis in this game from what I understand, but these ones do look absolutely gorgeous, which I would expect from Awakened Realms, given the Etherfield ones. I'm hoping there will be a few more come out during the campaign, but this definitely looks like it's going to be a must-buy for me, and because Mass Effect is definitely in my top 5 games of all time in terms of the trilogy, and anything that can give me that feel on a board game is something I will be jumping all over. But that is everything so far. That is everything I backed. That is the one upcoming game that I'm definitely planning to back. I'm sure something will pop up, because I hadn't heard of half of these 2 or 3 weeks ago, and now I'm compelled to support them because they just look amazing. Again, I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you stayed right through to the end, I want to thank you for spending the time with me. And please like and subscribe to the channel if you do. I'm sure if I keep buying things at the rate that I am, there will be more videos to this vein coming up at some point. But hope to see you all again soon. Have a good evening. Bye now.